Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroads where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. Shedding the layers of the sea.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition. Not exactly remarkable, ongoing now.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to TRTV's Real Talk with the Cummings.
This is going to be a great show.
Oh, it is. We got a lot of stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to jam it all in there. And I don't know, those of you that have been following the YouTube stuff that we've been putting on, we've started Blog Talk Radio back up again. We did Blog Talk Radio 2 years ago, and I had started Blog Talk Radio since 2012, September to be exact. And Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for now, 9:30 p.m. If it gets too much, we'll probably drop it down to twice a week because we want to continue to have this TV segment. I mean,
so it's gonna be great because we can kind of piggyback some of our thoughts and ideas throughout the week instead of just having one time.
Yeah.
Try to jam talk about it and jam it all in.
So
is it the reception? Seems kind of low.
Seems kind of low?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's bring it up higher.
I'm not sure.
Let's see if that makes it any
better.
Be
helpful.
Well, that's HD, but the thing is, if the bandwidth is not, so you know how it goes. That's why we also like the Blog Talk Radio, because it's just radio. We don't have to worry about stuff cutting in or out. And, we're at the mercy of the Wi-Fi that we're provided here, which is pretty decent at times.
Yeah, it can be.
It can be,
But everything has its ups and downs.
Yeah, and in this little town, there's not that great, they don't even have a Comcast center, they left. So, we're just grateful.
The Metro came.
The Metro came,
That's a good thing.
Yeah. But anyway, we, if you guys get a chance, check out the Blog Talk Radio. What I'm doing is I'm downloading it to YouTube so you guys can watch it or listen to it on demand. So anyway, today's show is called Western Transgender Affliction, and there's a lot of information that we've gathered regarding the reasoning behind why we do what we do and why we are who we are. And we're trying to be very compassionate about it, but I think it's very important that people learn the gist of what this is really all about.
We have to be realistic. We have to be honest, and we have to share the truth about what we know and what we understand and what we have found out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't do their homework, in researching and looking at different reasons for causation, reasons for why people do the things that they do. And we're going to show you guys how different types of transsexuals actually do exist. And you may be surprised at how the majority of transsexuals that do exist in this country in particular are of a certain type.
Right. And, there should be no shame of it, because I truly believe that the human psyche creates things to help relieve certain pain. It's almost like a self-defense mechanism, self-motivating, what's the word, stroking or whatever you want to call it. And it serves a purpose. So it shouldn't be something that people find shame in. And I think the sooner they accept it, the more they will learn about themselves and stop trying to be a victim. But before we go into all that, we received some news regarding an individual that we actually met when we were getting some laser.
Yeah, we had moved to Fort Lauderdale, and I had looked up a place to get some laser treatment, and I found a place in Fort Lauderdale, and the girl that was there helping out the owner, she was very sweet, young lady. Her name was Britta Rizal, and she was a very, very nice person. And just, you know, we had been in contact, and, you know, we had exchanged Facebooks and stuff, and she had liked our pages and commented on certain things and personal messaged me throughout the year last year. And I just kind of fell out of touch with her, you know, and recently just wanting to know and see, you know, like sometimes we get on Facebook and we want to find out, you know, what our friends are doing. And found out that she had passed away, unfortunately, and sadly, because she was only 24. But the way that she had passed away really broke my heart.
And we decided that we were going to do a dedicated show, a part of the show on this particular individual and the whole. I mean, there's really some really bizarre, I guess is the word I could use, details regarding all this. According to what they're saying, she took her own life, but as we know Britta and the life she had, I can't believe that actually happened as she took her life. I'm suspecting foul play, but we can't go into it right now. We want to get more information, and we'll be sharing it with you guys and telling you the story and everything else regarding it. Another thing that we wanted to touch base before we actually go into the show is, let's see here, I wanted to share this right here. There's an individual that befriended us and actually befriended you.
Back in May of 2014, I had just, you know, recently had come out as trans and stuff, and he had reached out to me in a personal message and said that they were coming out too, but all of the pictures always seem to be so seductive, and, you know, they were too good to be true sometimes. You know, as far as what they were presenting and stuff like that, it's like, wow, your transition went
very
incredibly
well.
You know? But the reason that they did, and I had suspected this, I had just in the back of my mind, this person had befriended me and we had personal contact information exchange and stuff, and she was involved in my, you know, life and commenting on my videos and everything that I did back in 2014. She even, like, after we got together,
did a fast with us,
and wanted to learn more about getting healthy and losing weight, and they obviously didn't have a problem because this person here is not Jillian Douglas. This person is named Addie Sweet, and she's from Budapest, Hungary. She is a very sought after porn star on the web, and this person, Jillian Douglas, had basically catfished and taken her identity for herself or himself. And basically, you know, whenever this person did anything, they were quick to post their pictures up and just say, oh yeah, I was with so-and-so and we went out to eat and this is what I was wearing, and it was just too bizarre.
And at first I'm like, you know,
you wanted to give them a benefit.
I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, and then when you started searching, I was like, damn, you're right, you know. So it's such deception,
too good to be true,
you know, and it's just, I mean, this is one form of deception. There's so much deception in this community, whether people lie about who they are before they go to bed with someone, or, you know, just a slew of all this violent of life, of why they are the way they are, and then they got kicked in the head when they were a little baby, and they say they're this and that. Well, part of what we're covering today, we'll cover a lot of that, and I want people to learn the truth. I want people to have the hardcore reality about what this trans narrative is all about. And I know a lot of you out there are going to say, Mark, Lena, you guys can't talk for all of us. You don't know what you're talking. That might be you, but it's not me. BS, I call, you know, and I will continue. I mean, I was the first one that waved that trans flag for you guys back in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. No, not so much after I actually got to know a lot of individuals
And, you know, I mean, we really do want to be compassionate towards people. We want to be understanding and empathetic, but we also want to reveal the truth. And we don't want to sugarcoat anything. We don't want to give people free passes. The last picture I saw of Jazz Jennings is ridiculous. So sad because their body is falling apart on them.
And we did a show regarding transition or suicide with these kids that are being pushed, or the parents are being pushed to transition their kids, and it's like they're killing them with those pharmaceuticals. We are natural beings. We're not meant to have synthetic crap inside our bodies. I'm sorry, it doesn't end well. We sat there and watched or saw a bunch of pictures of people that we personally know and how they're falling apart only 2 years after the fact.
One had just done an orchiectomy, which is when they remove their balls, basically. And they are not doing well, just to say the least. Person that I knew was a healthy, vibrant person.
I dated them.
Lots of life in their face and in their eyes. And, you know, I mean, they, like their body, they're not giving it a fighting chance.
No, they're falling apart because your endocrine system is your hormones, the natural hormones that are meant to go in your body. If you're a male, that means testosterone. You're a female, that means estrogen. If you don't have that and you're putting something else in, it's like putting diesel in a regular car that would take unleaded or regular. And I know you don't want to hear that because in your mind you want to create what you want to create, but what you want and what your body wants are two different things. And you will fall apart.
And at first, you may feel that elation. Oh, we all did.
Yeah, we all did. Yeah.
But eventually, you know what? It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what age group you're in. If you're a late transitioner or if you're a young, spry, you know, young person, it's gonna bite you back. It's gonna bite back because your body doesn't recognize it. And it will make for allowances at first, but then it's gonna go,
diminishing returns. Look that up, diminishing returns. And it's sad because even the young ones, as you mentioned, Jazz, depression's getting worse. They're getting a lot of weight. You know, they're not having a normal sex drive. I mean, the body needs to function the way the body's meant to function. Not the way we think it should function, not the way we would like it for it to function. It has its own set of rules.
It does. And it doesn't really, you know, your body's not emotionally invested in this. It's just biologically recognizing what job it has to do. So it's not personal. It's business when it comes to biology. You know, it's like biology says, okay, I made a male-bodied person. I've made a male-bodied person. I don't see. I see a female-bodied person. I see a female-bodied person. I don't see anything else.
And it doesn't matter what you feel, what you like, whatever temper tantrum you want to throw. You know, you can't fool Mother Nature. That was a good commercial when they were trying to do margarine or butter or whatever. You can't fool Mother Nature as much as you want to. As much as you're kicking and screaming and dysphoria and all this stuff, you can't. And, you know, the sooner you make peace with yourself, the sooner you'll.
And hey, you know, I understand. It's nothing wrong with expressing who you want to be seen as, you know, but just actually claiming that you can jump from one gender to the other. I am so sorry to tell you, I don't want to bust your bubble or anything, and I don't want to make a, you know, emotional, you know, scene about it, but it's impossible. You know, it's proven physically, biologically, chemically, everything, every way. It's impossible. But nobody says you can't live. You can't be. You can't just be who you are.
Express, you know, and heal. Because I truly believe that this whole thing stems from childhood traumas, stems from all, I mean, there's a slew. Neurological impairment, chemical imbalances, whatever it is. Your body's got to work it through. You've got to work through your emotions, whatever length of time it takes you to finally make peace with who you are. And it could take a lifetime, but you've got to work through these issues and not hide and bury stuff under a rug and believe that you could live this fantasy and have no ramifications.
Babe, I don't get it, you know, because so many times, you know, and this has happened with Hurricane Irma. We go to see pages where trans men are, you know, talking about what they're doing to prepare, how they're feeling emotionally, and everything else. And they're not exuding very much manly strength when it comes to stuff, you know, like facing whatever it is that has to come their way and standing in the face of adversity. They're like freaking out, you know, and totally like scared.
Yeah, that's because of the way they've been socialized. I was socialized as a woman, okay, and obviously a lot of my reactions are probably going to end up being more womanly, even though I am not your average FTM, you know. But even when I was presenting as a female, I would kick anybody's butt and I wouldn't be fearful. But the norm of a female type is to feel fear and to act totally different from a male person. So a lot of these trans guys do not exert that male that they're trying to present as MTFs.
You know, I mean, we would talk about how, you know, back then there was this person that we interviewed, and they were still worried about what they were going to wear for the plumber when he was going to show up to replace their water heater. And he's like, "Is this plaid shirt man enough? Should I?" And then another person who was another friend also was like, the first day of school,
what should I wear?
What should I wear? Is this shirt
what does a man wear?
Should I wear a tie? Should I button down? I was like,
no way. Isn't that what guys do? They worry about what they wear? No. Yeah.
No, guys just wake up, roll over
and put something on.
Exactly.
Anyway, wanted to share in the news, trans man forced to show grocery store cashier his genital before he could leave. And this is one of the reasons why I cannot stand, I did it for the first few months of my transition, wearing a packer. And usually people don't get a normal size packer. No. They've got to, you know,
oversized.
Like, if you could get a size of an arm packer and put it, I'm sure they would. So I don't feel sorry for this guy in the least. So it says, in an incident that occurred in May at a food fair in New Jersey, the complaint says the man who accused of shoplifting by an off-duty sheriff officer working as a security guard, either the man or the security guard are identified by name.
I need to see what's in your pants, the security guard said, noticing something in his pants, to which the trans man responded that he is trans and wears a prosthetic penis.
The security guard said that he would call a female officer to inspect the trans man's pants. He tried to leave, but the security guard insisted he stays for the inspection of his pants. The trans man felt humiliated, intimidated, and abused, according to the suit.
Since the female officer was taking a while to arrive, the security guard sent the trans man into the bathroom with a female cashier to conduct the inspection.
Now, time out. You're presenting as a man. Why would you need a female officer to inspect your pants? That's what we were just talking about. These trans guys want to fit the look manly. I'm a man. Yeah, don't you dare call me anything else. Don't misgender me.
But what would you have done?
Oh, come on. Really? I would have pulled my pants down right there in front of everybody and said, look, happy? Prosthetic. Would you like to use it, dude? Okay, thank you. Can I go now? You know, but again, it's like these people pretending to be something they're not, and it's very apparent that they're not. You know, you can't change this. It's been programmed from the time you were a little girl, and the same thing goes for, you know, MTFs. As much as we want to, it can't happen. During this inspection, plaintiff showed the cashier the prosthetic penis and his vagina. Yes, that suit says he left the restroom crying, and the security guard apologized.
Because he's like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry for hurting your feelings. He's like, oh, yeah, I made her feel bad. You know, my understanding is that the officer saw something in his pants, which was the prosthetic device, and thought he took something from the store. Shoplifting, maybe?
Yes.
And was hiding it. The transgender man's lawyer, Thomas A. McKinney, said he didn't steal anything. He just didn't touch a single thing in that store.
The man said he suffers from emotional distress, pain, and other ailments due to the incident.
Embarrassment.
Yeah. I mean, really. Really. I mean,
And it's a lawsuit.
yeah. And you know what? This is one of the things that just drives me insane about the trans community. They claim all these things. They want validation. They want, they want the world to like be at their feet. But you're going to walk in the store, you're going to walk around with the biggest freaking prosthetic you can find between your legs that makes you look like you have something in there. And then you're going to have a bitch fit about it and cry and sue the place when they were only doing their job.
They weren't like doing anything discriminatory. It was just, hey, it looks like you got merchandise where you don't need to be putting it.
Exactly.
And we want our merchandise. And they're like, hey, I'm a trans man. It's like, yeah, right, whatever.
You can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. And this is what I'm saying about this community. It's like individuals that have very little coping skills. I mean, crying, really? What, did you ever, like, in your mind think that if you're walking around with an anaconda between your legs and you go into the store, that you possibly, somebody, whether you go to the airport or whatever, they might think that you either got a weapon or something in between your legs there? Because what normal-sized guy, unless you're some massive football player, basketball player that is hung, walks around with such a thing in between their legs? That is not normal. That's like AGP or whatever it's called. The other, it's like, oh, I got this big old thing in between my legs. It's like I don't get it. Yeah, I'm packing.
You try to pack, right?
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, for the first maybe 2 months, and then it was like so gross to me because I used it so I could go pee. It was a pee packer type of thing, and it got sweaty and it got stinky. 2 months later, I just threw it out. I'm like, I ain't doing this.
I was running. I remember when I got some fake boobs and stuff, and I remember I thought, oh, I'm gonna run with boobs, and they like started slipping, and ended up like doing this kind of thing on me, and I was like, oh no! So I had to like take them out discreetly and leave them behind like an overpass behind a fence or something. And it rained that night, so I didn't come back until the next day. They had gotten wet, and I was like, oh no, what happened to my boobs? It's just ridiculous.
It's like this set mentality that trans people have that think, okay, men all have big dicks, and in trans women, women all have big boobs, and it's like this, there's nothing, they don't do anything about, oh, women take care of babies, and they in the kitchen, and they do certain things. No, it's all about this external things, the muscle, the packing, the boobs, all this stuff that drives me insane.
So we have Robin.
Hey, Robin.
With us from Australia, I believe. And she says, men never cry.
Well, men should be able to cry, and they should be able to share emotion. That's one of the reasons why we've got the problem in society that we're trying to put people in little boxes. And men are taught from a very young age, men don't cry. So that hurts the whole concept. But I wasn't, the way I was looking at it is like this trans person is claiming to be a guy, he's walking around with this big old thing, yet when he gets called out, he breaks.
And she said, you can't run with real boobs.
I know, it's hard to run with, it's like, I always tell Linda, and I always said, trans women want to get these double Ds and whatever. And it's like, women that are born with double Ds want to get rid of them.
Let me say for the record that when I did get fitted, I did not want double Ds. I just wanted something to be proportionate to my size. But when I did try them on, it felt like there was this overwhelming sense of like, my back is going to break because you're now like that, pitched over,
Robin says testosterone stops crying. I never stopped crying with testosterone because I've always tried to keep that inside part of me, which is female. And Victor says, I'm a guy.
It's like a stereotyping thing, though. I mean, emotional people, humans are emotional.
Yeah,
and testosterone does not prevent people from crying. Yeah. Now, men may be conditioned by their parents not to cry, but the natural instinct of an emotion of sadness or disparity or anything is to cry.
Yeah, of course. And Victor says he's not afraid of crying. Good for you, Victor. And I think crying's important.
It is.
It's a way of releasing emotions.
There's nothing wrong.
If you hold it all in, then it becomes anger, frustration, anxiety, all sorts of paranoia stuff. I mean, people are meant to cry. People are meant to have sex. People are meant to
Release.
Release is important.
Release.
We need a release.
Let go.
Let go. All right. So let's.
Oh wait.
Oh.
So Robin says, I have total back problems. 12G.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I like when I see these trans females going to get their double Ds, and I'm like,
Well,
do they realize?
You know what they've pretty much sold trans women is that the bigger they are, the bigger the boobs need to be, so that it would be able to be proportionate to their body size. So if you're a 245-pound man and get a boob job, you need to have like these big double Ds, and it's like it doesn't make you any less of a target of
my God, it just makes it worse.
Now it's worse.
Yeah, and it's almost like disrespectful. You know, that's one of the things I've always had problems with trans women is the disrespect on how they try to play the role of women. But they don't do the things that women do. No, it's all about just dress up, you know, and having fun with their friends. They can go into the bar, and I know, you know, my ex, that was all about going out with girls and girls. Is that what, you know? It's just I'm sorry, I don't understand these kind of things. But anyway, so I want to like really point out here this next article, and I want to share this picture as I'm sharing the article.
It's a friend of yours, right?
No, not yet. That's something else. Okay. This is just the explaining transgender, the two types of Western transgender that they actually have. Okay, and so just
this guy, his name is Rod Fleming, and he doesn't hold back. He doesn't hold back what he's attracted to. He's attracted to trans women. So he's been living in Thailand in the past. He's had both transsexual girlfriends and homosexual transsexual girlfriend, and he's just explaining now what the differences are.
So I wanted like the picture on this up because I need to be able to see this. The picture on the, I guess it would be their left, is these are the two faces of Western transgender. Blair White left is obviously a girl, whilst Justin Riley on the right is just obviously a young man in a dress. Why are they so different? Blair would have no difficulty passing as a woman, whereas Dennis couldn't pass on a bus. You know, and I just wanted to share that picture before we actually go. But no disrespect to no one, and I know that it hurts a lot of people when, you know, they want to present a certain way and they really won't try and whatever else. But I would have loved to have been 6 foot and had, you know, be hung like a horse, you know, but that is never going to happen. I'm going to remain 5'4". And that's,
I mean, Victor, Leo says that he prefers natural breasts in his opinion. Plus size doesn't really matter if you love someone for their personality.
Exactly. Good point.
You know, I mean, we were watching the movie, a movie that we really like, both of us in the past. What is it? Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Right. And the young girl.
Oh yeah.
She's just a young lady.
Yeah.
She doesn't really have much breast development necessarily, but there's such a beauty in her natural innocence and her natural radiance. And, you know, women are not to be identified just because of their breasts. You know, I mean, that is so, like, shallow to do such a thing.
Victor says, I'm young but fat. We're getting, why are we?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They came back.
They came back. Yeah. You know, to me, I've been with females since I was 14, 15 years old, identifying as a lesbian back in the day, and I never really liked big-breasted women. That was never my thing. I was never into the, you know, and then I wasn't considered a very big-breasted female, but, you know, it was just not something that, and not because of the dysphoria or anything like that, it was just that it was uncomfortable for running, the sweating, I hated wearing bras, it was so uncomfortable. So to me, when I see a female that has natural small breasts, I think, God, they're lucky. So when I see trans women or when I see other women go get themselves under a knife and to bring on these huge things that are not even real, they're fake, I have no respect for that
So
whatsoever.
Robin says, all men have ever looked at since I was 12 were my boobs.
That's sad, because it's like, don't you hate that, Robin, when the guy's talking to you, instead of looking you in the eye, he's looking at your breast? Disrespectful. And this is all part of transgender men wanting to be women who have what I like to call autogynephilia, and that's also what we're going to be sharing here.
Now Leo says he's trying for a vegan lifestyle. Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You will lose a lot of weight that way, Victor, and you will
Definitely.
feel very, very healthy. I've been, gosh, now for like 5-6 years, you know, and, you know, love to eat that way. I don't miss eating any type of animal product, and it's a lot healthier. Hate it. They touch them too. Don't you? I know. It's like, do I look like I'm your property? You know, it's like, and it's just like, I think that is one of the reasons I kind of like started going out with females, because I felt like such an object. You know,
Aussies are gropey.
I can imagine. Don't you hate that? It's like, what am I? Some sort of, yeah. It's just. Anyway, let's get to this article. After an exchange on Twitter, it has become obvious that even today, people do not realize that there are two distinct types of transgender in the West. So I thought I'd recap. This is the first in a series of short articles that will explain what's going on.
There's a distinction between transsexualism and transgender. Transsexualism only exists with persons born male. There are no female transsexuals in a true sense, as he would say. Female-born transgenders are transvestite, wearing male clothing and affecting conforming mannerisms. Now, I don't really agree with that necessarily, because, you know, I think that his opinion is his opinion, but we'll agree to disagree.
And why would you disagree with that? Because he's talking about a person like me.
Female-born transgenders are transvestite.
Yeah, he's calling people like me, female-born female, who transition, are actually just like cross-dressing, wearing male clothing, and conforming mannerisms.
I just don't agree. So, I mean, we can talk about it if you want to, but I can have an article.
Second transgender, even when applied to born males, is not a scientific term. It is a social-political umbrella term that covers everyone from true transsexuals to closet fetishists, transvestite. The purpose of this unhelpful conflation will become clear once you've understood the different types.
Thirdly, the profiles I'll discuss in this article apply only in the West. Gender, and by implication, gender nonconformity, are massively influenced by culture. Although there are some elements of gender that are innate, for example, sex drive, most are cultural. So in different cultures, we see differences in gender expression in nonconformity. Because by definition, trans people adopt the most obvious stereotypes of the gender they seek to appear to be.
Exactly, and that's why the big boobs, you know, in trans guys, the mannerism, they're getting the muscles, walking around with a packer the size of their, you know, whole arm. You know, the science on transsexualism and transgender has a long history, but the greatest single contributor to our knowledge is Dr. Ray Blanchard. Anyone familiar with larger numbers of trans people will be aware that there are two distinct and easily identified types without trans expression. There are the small, cute, pretty one, and the large, not so cute, not so pretty, though often striking ones.
Blanchard used a questionnaire to assess whether these different forms were the same, or whether indeed there was a myriad of forms. Statistically, he showed that there are two types, and only two.
Definition by sex drive. Blanchard defined the two types by sex drive, since this is the primary motivator to the non-innate element of gender. To explain this, there are three ones gender: birth sex, hormones, and socialization. Although the first two are strong, by far the most influential is the last. Socialization, this means that our expression of gender is conditioned by the expectation of the people around us. Most important as regards gender is their expectation on the basis of our own sexual desires.
So, males who desire sex with other males feminine mannerisms. Blanchard observed this and found that a significant number of his interviewees precisely conformed to this model. These tended to be extremely feminine in manner, smaller than average for their ethnicity, and lighter in build also. They were all often ethereally graceful in their movements. They tended to retain youthful features. They often were hairdressers, dancers, or had another occupation that would normally have been considered feminine. They presented to Blanchard young, nearly always before the age of 20, and would by then be dressing and perhaps living as women.
Consistently across this group, they reported a strong attraction to men that began in childhood. They were attracted to males, but were themselves born male. These individuals are easily to identify if you know that they're trans at all. They're the kind that surprise you. You can't really believe they were born male. They're just so feminine, cute, and attractive. These have long been the standard of transsexualism. However, and to Blanchard's surprise, they were a minority. And you see it. You know, it's very little boy that everybody, oh my God, he's going to be gay, you know, because he walks around, blah, blah, blah. At the time they're like 14 or 15 or ready to start, you know, and like the parents go, there's no shocker, you know, because it's something that it's there.
So we have comments from Robin, and she says, FTMs are vastly more convincing as men. Transvestites are easy to spot and don't take testosterone. More than two. There are as many types as there are trans people. Everyone is different in my experience. But this is what Rod Fleming has to say about it.
And what Blanchard
has decided to be kind of the theme as well is that, you know, this man, he interviewed thousands of people, and he is a very, very in understanding these things and
Dr. bringing that back up, because when these theories came out, they were squished by the trans community. These trans, they were going to do whatever they could. Now there are new studies that bring this to light, and it's very effective. And I could tell you, being around trans women as long as I have been around the trans community, this is spot on.
Well, and also the fact is that, you know, there are broad ranges of different degrees of autogynephilia and broad ranges of different degrees of transsexual, homosexual transsexuals, but you can take a divider and slice it in two, you know, and you will have a degree of that. And Leo says, well, I can't tell the difference.
Oh, there's the difference, Leo. I mean, I could show you pictures because I've made transgender pretty much a career, and been interviewing people from all over the world, and I've been sent pictures, website, and there is a difference. You can really tell. I mean, the little critique.
No, I was just going to continue.
Okay.
The other type that's not usually that the other type was not like them at all. Older, with a median age of 43. They were not feminine in any way, and definitely not graceful. They had incredible difficulty passing their careers as like in the armed forces, in industry, and so on.
Truck drivers, you know, just a bunch of, you know, typical petite. You know, it's like the one he mentions, the HSTS, homosexual, transsexual, versus the AGP. I mean, the the other guy have to sit there and they've got to break their face and get FFS. They've got to learn how to talk and walk because it's like it's not there. It's not convincing. It's not real. They're like, if you really say you are who you say you are, why do you have to do all these things that you're doing to yourself? And why do you have to practice and learn how to walk like a woman if you say you're a woman?
Usually a homosexual, transsexual will probably get a breast job, and that's about it, you know, and they are, so just keep going.
Okay, so
again,
consistently, this group reported no attraction at all to men, at least before they transitioned. Now, this puzzled Blanchard. People in the first group were easy. They desired to appear as a woman who was found in male partners. They were showing exactly the same gender behavior as born women used to achieve the same results. There was no mystery there. Their transsexualism was natural progression of their homosexuality.
Mystery. In the other group, there was a mystery, and Blanchard wondered what the explanation might be. Following from their admissions that males in the second group often cross-dress in private, Blanchard dug deeper. He found that most had a history of dressing in women's clothing and masturbating. They all usually used a mirror while doing so.
Blanchard, and you just go on Facebook and see, it's like the continual pictures in front of the freaking mirror, hundreds and thousands of pictures and selfies of themselves. They're just like, Blanchard cross-checked. Did the first group display this? Well, on his stats, on his stats, no, they did not. Only around 15% admitted to doing so. He reasoned that the second group of males desired to transition must also be rooted in sex drive. But how? Most of them were attracted to women.
So Robin writes, not in my suburb, they're mainly old ones. And then she goes, okay, I'm used to this last type. They're usually entertainment. And drag queens at night.
No, that's drag queens. That's a different thing altogether from what we're speaking of here. And a lot of times, gay men, some of them a little more burly than others. There are gay men that are not super feminine. They're like either bears or just like, I don't know, just regular gay guys, but it's not the same thing that we're talking about here, not the same thing that Blanchard is actually pointing out.
That was when he realized that these males were attracted to themselves as women. So forget the relationships with women. They wanted to be the relationship of the woman that they wanted to love. Further research confirmed this and allowed him to develop the theory of the autogynephilia, which posits this. Autogynephilia is a man's propensity to become sexually aroused at the thought or image as a woman. So the difference is that homosexual, transsexuals, they want to have a relationship with a man, whereas these trans women, and most of them, you see these autogynephiles, are usually very much single, alone, and they don't really like men.
Right, and most of them were married originally, had kids. Not at all like the homosexual, they had a totally different take in their life. And the kind of jobs, the kind of, structure, and the whole concept of like creating this image, this, and you notice like all of it is like Jessica, Rihanna, all these like different names and lights, and it's like they just become so in love with themselves. And that's what the term autogynephilia means, love of self. You're creating this thing, you can't get enough of it. It's like the Frankenstein creation. They fall in love with the creation. So two groups of transgenders. So our two groups are homosexual males who are so feminine that they are unable to live successfully as men and do better as women. And on the other hand, the heterosexual males who are erotically stimulated by the idea of themselves as women. And mind you, they're not always heterosexual. A lot of these heterosexual males are bisexual. So when they start playing the game and they start becoming or feeling like more of a woman, then they start wanting to adventure. They could never be with a guy as a man or pseudo.
Or also, I've heard so many tell me on the message boards that they weren't attracted to men, but after they started taking estrogen, which is the feminizing, that they became attracted.
Right. So Blanchard called the first group homosexual, transsexual, HFTS, and the second autogynephilic transsexual. Now, I don't know if you want to share, or should we finish the article?
Yeah, I think we should finish the article.
I do not use these terms except when discussing Blanchard, since the homosexual prefix is redundant. I call Blanchard's HSTS transsexual and his AGP's transvestite autogynephiles. Here are the prefixes required because most autogynephiles only cross-dress in private.
Now, okay, let's go ahead and make this personal.
Okay.
I, you know, identify very much with the autogynephile because I transitioned later in life. I married, I had children. I lived my life in the shadows of what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be. And I cross-dressed from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited about the thought of myself as a woman. And basically, you know, I lived for the day that I could express myself in the way that I wanted to. But my fear was always of like retribution from my faith and from my family and, you know, my then wife and stuff. And, you know, it started in 2011. You open Pandora's box and you can't close it because, you know,
it takes over.
Autogynephilia is not just, you know, it's just something you do. It's something that you become. It's like a part of your person, the person that married and had children and, you know, had all these expectations. They die.
Yeah, because
they literally die.
This parasite
other
takes
person
over.
Starts pulling apart the person that was there before. And, you know, I'm not going to say that I'm just like the pure, strictly, you know, sexualized version of a autogynephile, but I did go through that. And, you know, my attraction to men, although I know that I was attracted to men, was very much repressed because I couldn't experience anything like that for fear of going.
But you were also attracted to females because you had girlfriends and you know, obviously a gay man has a very hard time, especially from born
and again,
man.
we can go into this, but I was attracted to females, but not in the sense of the attraction that a regular dude has for a woman. It just, and you know, my own honeymoon was very much like a flop. You know,
there's like a spectrum. There's a spectrum in the autogynephile, as I'm sure there is in the HSTP. So the distinction between these two groups has never been scientifically challenged, indeed, but recent papers by Rametti et al. And Savic, Arver, and Guillamon strongly supported. So there are two groups that Blanchard correctly identified them.
Most transgender-born males in the West are autogynephilic. In the West, until recently, nearly all the transgenders, remember, we're only talking about born males here, that were high profile in public, were autogynephilic. There are a number of reasons for this, and they are all cultural. Residual homophobia is the main one, especially that of the gay male community. This ruthlessly policies gay men and condemns any expression of femininity.
Despite this, a few prominent HSTS have appeared in recent years. Good examples would be YouTuber Blair White or singer Kim Petras. Many will think at once of Janet Mock, but she's not from a Western background. Nevertheless, her biography paints a picture of an STS trans woman growing up. All the others like Julia Serrano, Lynn Conway, Andrea James, and the new generation like YouTubers Justin Riley Dennis, of course, Bruce Caitlyn Jenner, are autogynephilics.
These individuals have seized the public debate. They've kind of like become the dominant force in trans activism and in getting things done, and have twisted it to their own definition. So in doing so, they are deliberately erasing HSTS transsexuals and colorizing their identity. They do this because they know that they can never compete with HSTS on looks or femininity. They know that as soon as they are put alongside a Blanchard HSTS, the truth will be out. So they erase them. And of course, they are fully socialized as heterosexual men, usually alpha males, who are used to browbeating everyone else into submission.
And hence, that's what we've seen with the trans narrative. You know, it's like, and they're like, well, we don't want to feel shame, so how dare you say that this is whatever. But, you know, there might be some form of, what's the word that I'm looking for, taboo with it. But if people were real, instead of just like bringing out the violin of life and making everybody feel sorry for you and ramming this down people's throat, and just be real, be truthful. When I first started this whole transition thing, I was so in love with myself, it was pathetic. The mirror was my friend. So I do believe that there's some form of androphiliac, and you see it with people like Buck Angel and Adrian, what's his name? Dowling, and all these trans guys that spend hours and hours in front of the mirror looking at themselves, looking at their muscles. I was like, there's nothing better than me in the beginning, you know? Picture. You become, you know, it's like, wow, I would date me, that kind of thing. And it's you know, you outgrow it. Some people do. I outgrew it. I don't have that thing where I have to take 5,000 selfies a day and think I'm the greatest thing in the world, trying to build all these muscles. So I quit testosterone. I just want to grow old.
Well, I think you're the greatest thing.
Thank you, but it's my heart. It's not the stupid exterior. It's this image that is killing society.
Transgender paradox. Paradoxically, on one hand, autogynephiles erase and colonize HSTS identities, and at the same time, they adopt a pseudo-feminist political position claiming that looks should not be so important, and that passing as a woman is trans-misogyny. That's a new word.
Yeah.
Or trans-malevolent.
They want to create everything.
That's easy for them to say, since most of them are not interested in attracting men anyway.
They hate men.
They predate on women and even try to shame lesbians. By definition, women who do not have sex with people with penises into sex with them. Plus, of course, most of them couldn't pass in a bus. Now, I remember there was on the Kate Jenner show, you know, that was on TV. They were, for one, they were talking about how they were going to drag their mother into accepting them.
Yep.
And also, I remember when Caitlyn Jenner went to a gay bar, how like totally standoffish they were, and how uncomfortable they were. And you know, on the other hand, there's the HSTS Candace, you know, Kane, and she was completely at home. She was strutting her stuff, and she wanted to have a great time.
Because she started out as a gay man. Yeah. You know, and again, a lot of the AGPers or autogynephiliacs are bisexual. You know, so they won't, you know, mind trying because it validates the woman that they want to be.
The only reason that they are that way is to validate
the woman that they
think they want to be.
Because in a sense, not that they care about the guy, because you know the guy's just a puppet. Worship me, I am and that's why majority of them are single, because there's not a guy or a person alive that wants to be with somebody who's so in love with themselves that there's no room for the other person in the relationship.
Yeah. So Robin says, but you don't live alone admiring yourself. We both did.
Yeah, I did the longest time when my initial, I transitioned back in 2000. Here's the mirror, right? Yeah. How many thousands? You know, it's like the mirror
is saturated with what is happening. Really think that you are actually changing your sex. You are actually that it's physically possible to do so, and it's not. So I mean, once you realize that, you're like, oh, that's not true. So heterosexual males are also autogynephiles. Tinder is full of them. They love their male bodies as a reference to the autoandrophilic. Yeah, you know,
exactly.
But that's really narcissistic personality.
Yeah, which is
that's part of it too.
That's part of the AGP, and that's part of the trans. That's part of the trans narrative, pretty much.
So, but that's what they're saying, is that you know that these people are not mentally disturbed, and the truth is that you know most autogynephilics have some degree of mental disorder going on, even in the fact that they are identifying as being autogynephiles. You know, I mean, they don't want to identify that way, but even that is a disorder of a sort.
Oh yeah, and they want to admit it. They want to admit it because they want full blanc to do what they want to do, to go inside the female bathrooms, because that's part of the AGP. It's like being, yeah, I'm here in the women's bathroom. I'm one of the girls, you know, and no one will admit that. They want to have my head in the platter, like they want to have Blanche's head in the platter, like they want to silence everyone that doesn't sing their tune. But truth is truth, you know, and it will set you free, you know. Anyway, in general, is it my turn or your turn?
Go ahead.
In general, transsexual, Blanche, or HSDS are comfortable with his theory. Nearly all openly admit to having previously thought themselves to have been homosexual boys. They see no problem with describing their gender in terms of their sex drive. They know that they look beautiful and feminine because they want to be attracted to men. This, of course, has earned them the visual hatred of feminists.
Western autogynephiles and their sycophants, on the other hand, loathe Blanchard.
Of course.
People like Lynn Conway and Andrea James,
yeah,
and do everything they can to deny the science and spread misinformation because they do not wish it to be known
diagnose trans as transsexual or autogynephilic. To simply ask if they support or reject Blanchard, assuming they understand it. Trans and autogynephiles will say no. But despite all the touch experience, postmodernist autogynephile moonshine, the science is solid. And I have this, you know, on the actual link there on the description if you guys want to read it. I wanted to share something real quick here, so I'm going to find it. Okay. The typical autogon down in the comment section, somebody sent is clearly an autogynephilic. Transsexuals are never interested in possibly transsexual lesbian. Transvestite autogynephile is the name of the person. These real woman sales pitch. While some do become attracted to men, this is a minority, and the phenomenon is pseudo-bisexualism. That's too complex to even explain here. He actually, I think, wrote another article regarding it.
Also, bookish and geeky as a child.
Yes.
Classic AGP.
Yes.
You know, Star Wars geek,
yeah.
Star Trek geek, you know, computer geek.
Yeah, they're ITP, they're either work in camera type of thing, you know.
Transsexuals are almost always noticeably girly, and it is always the first thing they tell you about. That and their crushes on boys, teachers, and other men. The bit about thinking about being transsexual as a kid is unlikely to be true. AGPs habitually invent childhood memories and history supportive of the pseudo-feminine personality that they are developing.
That's why the family going, you what? You never showed any sign? Oh, you can validate me. It's because, you know, it's all in the head. They create these scenarios. Age of transition is below the average for Blanchard, but AGP is heavily culturally influenced, and transition ages have been getting lower for AGPs in the West generally. When you consider that AGP in the Southeast Asia usually transition while still at school, it becomes clear that this is possible in the West also.
This sexuality and gender identity isn't the same thing. Gay men don't want to be women, and lesbians don't want to be men. It's utter bullshit. The exact opposite is true. However, it is the standard LGBT whatever narrative which they're doing their best to convince everyone of. But it's still BS. There's no such thing as gender identity. Insofar as it might exist as separate from sexuality, it does not.
So, very interesting tidbit there by Mr. Fleming. And like I said, the article is there linked, so you'll be able to get into his.
There's a whole
slew of videos that he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has it pretty on the money.
He's attracted to, you know, transsexuals, and he has something to say about it because he's had lived and experienced with it, you know.
Now, I'm going to show you a picture. This person I know personally. And, I mean, they actually used to work where I met my ex, Jessica. And, you know, what female, literally, okay?
I don't know if you want to put that there because it might.
No, it's just, no, they're not going to censor it, okay? And let me see here. Did that one go on? Let me stop that one. let me share this other one here. You know, and that one, and over here to share this other one. Remember, I wanted to. And here's, you know, it's like, what typical woman, and I know there are females out there, they're sensualized and they do them, they use their body to get what they want. But with transgender females, and especially the LGBT kind, this is what they do. And they're single, by the way. And this person had somebody who adored them to death, an older man who was into trans women, paid for her breasts. I mean, just babied her. But they had no love for this person because it was all about them, you know. And
Robin writes, my ex long-term partner was a bisexual bear, very NPD. Just saying, you don't have to read that out loud. She said, I'm not sure. You don't have to read that out loud. I'm not sure.
What does that mean, Robin?
I'm not sure what she meant.
That's what I'm asking her. What does she mean about that? And here's one last little tidbit here. This is profile. Sensualized. Everything's sexualized, sensualized. It's like, and this person has transitioned. It's been like 4 or 5 years now, continuing with the same.
And they're obviously playing with some video editing.
Oh, of course,
because
it's
look like
bigger and yeah, it's just
have to, you know. But you know, there comes a time when you have to pay, you know,
and grow up.
You know, no, but there comes a time when your body has to pay.
Oh yeah,
for abusing it like that. You know, hormones and things like that. That, you know, I mean, you're gonna have your fun for your little season. Yeah. But you know.
No, you just read it out loud
so
about
sorry.
my ex.
Oh. I'm very sorry.
I didn't know that you didn't want us to share that. You should have said.
Yeah, please, if you don't want us to share something, I'm just reading the comment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you don't want us to read something, please let us know ahead of time. I mean, people.
Very sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, because people just comment, and I just, you know, want to let everyone be able to share and make it as interactive as possible.
Right.
But I'm very sorry.
It's like, please say something, please don't say this a lot, but they're putting it right there, which, you know. But yeah, it's bizarre, a bizarre thing altogether. Let's see, I'm gonna how to increase dopamine. So a lot of this stuff is part of what they call dopamine release. It's like people get some sort of, like when somebody,
like a high of
sorts. And so, but yeah, but I don't know if we have time to read my blog there, or is it?
Well, we do, because we own the show.
Okay, that's true. So I wrote this blog entry, you know, the other day. I've been blogging a lot, my feelings and, you know, how I'm feeling after stopping hormones and all that stuff. So I wrote a blog entry that says, let's get real. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. One of the few things we as humans have is our word, living in truth and being kind. Everything else revolves around ego and destruction. People are being born into a world filled with lies, self-centeredness, and corruption. How did we go from one extreme to the other, I ask? Well, I have a few theories on this, and let me tell you, it's not pretty. Okay, reading. In the world of technology, materialism, and look at the me mentality has created this crazy breed we call the human race. We have managed to destroy what our ancestors built in a very short amount of time. You think we're also advanced and have made such great strides, but on the contrary, we're devolving, and quickly, I may add.
Religion serves to create fear, divide, and raise funds for the heads of the organizations of the oh-so-profitable churches. Frankly, God has not received any of the profits, nor is she/he interested in our man-made so-called progress and corruption. Politics is as corrupt as the times of Caesar and Constantine. And our leaders, are getting more and more bizarre as time passes by. The medical system, which at one point made house calls and had fewer than a few prescription drugs at hand, is now one big pharma fest. And let's not forget, snip, tuck, and kill. Yes, we have industries now that instead of forging forward for our betterment, are creating more and more problems for our human race, and we're letting them destroy us and our planet.
I want to go back to the year 2003 when I learned of this new cult called transsexuals. I had identified as a lesbian woman since I was 13 years of age, but in the summer of 2003, I learned that I could become a man and no longer be considered what I had been taught to feel shame about anymore. I could change my life and become a man according to the so-called professionals and what we now see as an epidemic at a rise.
There were no true objective testings or findings being administered, but I had learned what others said online when they went to these so-called gender specialists. And I surely looked the part since I had been bodybuilding and dabbled in body enhancement chemicals. So I knew I would pass with flying colors and would be given the letter that would change my life. I was on my continual road of destruction. Nothing had changed, except I now obsessed with my body and would stop at nothing to get the look I so desperately wanted. Having been overweight most of my life, hated what I looked like, and of course my breasts from being molested as a child, the whole narrative of gender dysphoria surely had my name written all over it. I see now how criminal this whole concept of being born wrong is, and frankly, there are no objective findings still or true clinical studies that can back this up. We are just a bunch of narcissistically obsessed, self-loathing, traumatized souls who are not being given the proper help we really need.
We have been given the license to destroy ourselves and others without any second thought about it. The trans agenda has run with this ball and has created their narrative as they see fit, and are pushing their agenda on everyone without thinking about the ramifications of their choices. These are people who dislike their lives and are so bored, want more out of life, and have sexualized their fantasies beyond measure and are changing the world as we know it, and not for the better. The fantasy of being someone else, of creating a character that becomes the center of their lives and universe while seeking attention and validation from others, as well as taking lots of prisoners along the way and not taking no for an answer, is, ladies and gentlemen, transgenderism in a nutshell. Don't be fooled by the victim mentality. We are good at seeking sympathy from others and making up all sorts of scenarios to get our way. It's our defense mechanism, our way of dealing with the hurt, our damaged neurological system, and our poor self-esteem.
To this day, I still don't understand what would possess a person to do what we do, ranging from self-harm to alienating everyone and everything around us. And for those who get lucky and manage to keep friends and family, you were good at manipulating those you love, using a rather intelligible technique or threats of suicide to gain your validation. Realize I feel bad for everyone involved, to include the parasite that has taken over the host, who at some point was an organism who was lonely and looking to inhabit a bigger world.
I could only hope that people will wake up from this nightmare and realize what they have allowed to take place. I hope that no more gender clinics open up and the more are shut down after the countless lawsuits rain in. I also hope that transitioners get a grip on reality and realize that there is more to life than gender, and that the loss of weight, then the loss outweighs the gains. I hope that more people step up to tell the truth, and that they stop using children as their shield. I hope that people start seeing the truth behind this transgender phenomenon for what it really is, the two distinct types of motivation that the research has clearly shown. And although many trans women have fought long and hard to hide the truth, the research and science prove otherwise. So our two groups are homosexual males who are so feminine and they're unable to live successfully as men and do better as women, and the other hand, heterosexual males who are erotically stimulated by the idea of themselves as women. Blanchard called the first group HSTS and the other autogynophiles. And we actually already read that part, was added that there.
You will never get most trans individuals to come clean or admit to being an autogynephilic due to the stigma and their religious upbringing. But when closely studied and analyzed, the signs are all there, as it is in the research. Frankly, I would like to see people work through their pain instead of creating these victim scenarios and pushing their sexualization on everyone else. I believe that truth will set us free and will help heal us and create a better tomorrow. If we continue the lies, the deceit, and the continual medicalization of this condition, we will be destroying many lives. We need to put a stop to this while we can. We need to properly handle this condition that I believe is based on childhood trauma and parasitic infestations. And although this may sound sci-fi to most, I can't think of anything else that can lead a human being to do what they do to themselves and others.
Toxoplasma gondii might be the most famous brain-controlling parasite of all. It's a single-celled organism that can infect almost any warm-blooded animal, to include humans. But where it gets unsettling is the possibility that this parasite, which is hugely common in humans, affects our behavior too. There are lots of studies finding correlation between human infection and behavior, says Winter-Smith. There was also a study that found a correlation between countrywide neuroticism scores and the percentage of population infected by toxo, suggesting that the parasite influences culture. There is at least one other ironclad example of parasite which controls human behavior, and that's rabies. Humans and other mammals infected by rabies virus develop hydrophobia, a fear of water, and aggressive behavior including biting. Since the virus is spread by saliva, that makes sense. Biting for obvious reasons, while water could wash infected saliva away and make the bites less infectious. So a fear of water is good for the virus. Clearly, humans are not beyond the reach of behavior controlling parasites. I would like to see better research and interpretation of this condition. I would like to see real professionals deal with this transgenderism instead of this one-size-fits-all approach that has been creating to push drugs, surgeries to the already hurt and desperate population that are being led on the wrong path.
Robin says, luckily Australia is late to this and it's being questioned. In the news today is the 60 Minutes program. They aired it. Now more are coming out as teenagers detransitioning here.
Yeah, wasn't that the one we spoke that they didn't allow it to air or something like that? I mean, they're just like really, and that's the alpha male mentality, the advocates, the ones that claim to be women who are AGPers are like forcing this agenda down people's throats, and they've done a great job. They've done a great job.
Yeah, they basically have hoodwinked the public into feeling sorry for them. Because, if this can be something that can be prevented at a young age, then, we should give these kids the benefit of the doubt. But,
exactly.
Hormones never serve a good purpose for anyone. Cross-sex hormones are lethal. And, it's not going to kill you automatically, but it slowly does its work in destroying the human body.
Right, somebody wrote something.
I feel like you sometimes lump all the trans community. I'm a trans woman who lives a mostly stealth existence. I've never had issues attracting men and have a wonderful job in mortgage banking. And you are probably one of those HSTF transsexuals that just want to live your life and don't want all the drama. And I totally understand. And you're welcome to live and be and express and enjoy your life as you see fit, But I think, she writes, I grew my career as a trans woman, and I'm generally happier. I think it does work for some. I've had several great relationships with wonderful men. Exactly.
Yeah. But, it's like very far and few between.
It is far and few between.
Blanchard even said.
And
very few.
You never know in the future if you may change your mind about it, if it doesn't fit your, life. Yeah. Because there was a guy who, a beautiful trans woman, HSTS, and they were a cheerleader and they lived their life and they, for 30 years or so. And, Philip now, he transitioned at 55, I think it was.
Yeah.
But you never know, right?
Yeah.
So
Because, I mean,
it's your world. You live in it, and you know what's best for yourself.
Yeah. And
just don't hurt yourself in the process.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the whole concept, and what we're trying to prevent is people hurting themselves with dangerous prescription drugs and surgeries and things, all to claim to be who they say they are. But if you have to do that much work, then it's really not who you say you are, and you're hurting yourself. And like you mentioned, you know, down the road, I mean, a lot of trans individuals, after they get to a certain age, and we know many, that now they start balding, they don't look as beautiful as they did before, because this is a lot about what the mirror says. You know,
Right.
it really, and if you no longer look as good as you used to look in the beginning, they want out.
Yeah, I mean, we have
because it's very
a person
visual.
who, you know, basically detransition, and you know, they say that it's because of their faith and everything.
Right.
But you know, I kind of wonder if it could be also that they were starting to bald, and they didn't see themselves as being the beautiful woman that they could be.
They said exactly, totally, who knows, when what we said, and totally reasonable. Take care and be true. Thank you, Catherine. You take care of yourself as well. I mean, all we're trying to do is try to be the other voice and try to educate and try to let people realize, hey, you don't have to do this to think that that's the only way you're going to find happiness.
Sooner or later,
Yeah.
What we're trying to say, and trying to be clear in how we say it, is that cross-sex hormones are going to cause a problem in male bodies, in female bodies, and if you're taking a hormone that doesn't suit your body, eventually your body's going to bite back.
Yeah, and all these procedures that people do. I mean, on a good day, a regular person who goes under cosmetic knives, time and time again, it catches up. They get an infection, they die. I mean, just a bunch of different things, you know? We've got to learn, we've got to teach our youth to be happy with what they got. Not to always want more and more and more and look at people on TV and say, I want to look like that. No, you're going to look like how you look like. And that's what we're trying to say. I hate to use the word preach, but that's what we're trying to inform people. Please be happy with who you are. Love yourself how you are, not when you get to be a certain point in life, or when you get to have the degrees, or when you get to cut your face and look like whatever it is. No, love yourself the way you are. Make peace with you.
You know, beyond you, what you think is you, this space, this body, beyond you is really you.
Yeah.
And that is what we want to help people to discover, is to realize that we are more than this.
Yeah.
We are more than a gender. We are more than a sexual reproductive sex. We are more than, you know, a body and hands and breasts and arms and feet, and you know, we are more than that. We are eternal human spirits, you know, eternal spirits. And those eternal spirits are, you know, something special, something valuable, something priceless, something that's never going to die.
And we've been sold the world of lies. And, oh, here, get this little bunny rabbit, and here's the carrot. Chase after you too could have. You know, it's like such lies. Okay. We want to present natural ways how to increase your dopamine production so that you don't have to do crazy things, as in, you know, all the stuff that trans individuals tend to do to try to be happy, you know? So, increase dopamine, more productivity. What's dopamine? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that our brain produces to nudge us into doing stuff. It's the main reason why we can focus and achieve great things, even if the payout isn't immediate or obvious. You know, that's why a lot of, like, people say, oh, my life is boring and I don't have any umph anymore and I want to be able. So when they start cross-dressing and they start feeling, ooh, I've got this zill now and I want to be, yeah, I feel good. You know, because before it's like, oh, my life's so boring. I'm just a father of blah, 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 and I'm married to this person and everyone I'll drag through. Oh, I need to do dressing up. Yeah. Well, you can get this dopamine without destroying your family, without having to do all sorts of stuff the natural way. Here we go. So, discover new things. Dopamine production is actually triggered when we find something new and exciting in front of us. Our ancestors who experienced it when discovering new herds to hunt, new plants to harvest. Unless you're a naturalist, it's probably going to be hard to do those things. But we do have the internet. The internet is a treasure trove for discovering new music and new videos. A simple dopamine booster is browsing Pinterest or even Amazon for new productive products and items. A word of caution, it will get addictive. So make sure you limit your time on sites like these.
Let's be clear, we're not pushing materialism and
not at all.
obsessive behaviors like that.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that one should even be.
Yeah, but I'd rather them do that than, you know, start wanting to get breasts and start injecting hormones. And
see, the thing is that those type of experiences are gateways.
Yeah, that's true. So go out in nature instead.
Go out in nature.
Watch the butterflies.
Plant a garden outside. And do the things that they said not to do, or say that you're not capable of doing anymore. Get out in nature.
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
My bad.
2, list down your small tasks. Dopamine is also released after you finish something, whether it's a big job or a small task. That to get more hits, break down those big jobs into smaller ones. And as I said above, you need to list down those tasks. It's not that I don't trust you to remember your to-dos, it's just that it's more satisfying, dopamine-wise, to check stuff off a list physically. Nothing than ticking off something and done. Okay, I understand what they're saying, but some people don't work that way. They don't have like lists that they have to check off and calories that they need to count. I mean, so
just meditate.
Meditate,
much better. Listen to music. This is what we like. Studies have shown that if you listen to music you really enjoy, the brain releases dopamine as a response. Even the anticipation of hearing that music also increases dopamine levels, which is probably why you see all these crazy lines in front of the music store. Oh, this person's trying to sell a lot of stuff.
I know.
It's like, listen to music and dance.
Yeah.
Dance. Dance is good. Dance makes you move around. That's a good thing.
Increase your tyrosine. Tyrosine is the building block of dopamine, so make sure that you have enough of this protein in you. Fortunately, it's easy enough to find this. Here are some common foods that have loads of tyrosine.
We're only going to read the vegan kind. You only read the vegan kind.
Avocados, bananas,
chocolate or cacao, coffee,
green tea, watermelon, and yogurt.
And that yogurt has milk in it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Not yogurt.
So.
I'm pretty much sure you have enough of these in your diet. And some of these foods are you actually enjoy.
Reduce your lipopolysaccharides. Lipopolysaccharides is a hard word to pronounce and write for that matter, but that's a good thing because you want to avoid them. These are also called endotoxins. And yes, it's indeed toxin. Basically, if you have too much of these, your immune system will go haywire. More importantly, it inhibits the production of dopamine. The best way to combat this is by having more good bacteria than bad bacteria in your gut. And how do you do that? Eat lots of probiotic foods, mostly fermented foods, like what's that one that we buy?
Fermented soy, like
seitan, temp, and what's that drink we drink? Kombucha. Yeah.
What else is it that we have a lot? What is it that you freeze?
Oh, tofu. Tofu, yeah. Get enough sleep so your gut can keep up with you. Most people burn the midnight oil at both ends and they don't get enough sleep, so your dopamine level drops. And don't overindulge in fatty and sugary foods. The name says it. It's built up from lipids and polysaccharides, so less of these means less endotoxins.
I'm just glad I don't have to pronounce that. Lipo, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice job, Cuba. Yeah. Exercise often. I've already written a lot about how exercise helps you de-stress and makes you super productive. It's because physical activity is something your body craves. We are moving beings, moving organisms made to move, you know, and even if your conscious brain hates it sometimes. To make it fun for you, your brain actually releases fun chemicals like serotonin, endorphins, and yes, dopamine. The great thing is even non-strenuous exercise can help increase dopamine levels. Try taking the dog out for a walk, or your cat, climbing some stairs, or busting out the Wii Fit.
Also, making love, great for dopamine. Now, we're not promoting sexual activity with just anybody. If you are married and you have a long-term relationship, you're thinking about getting married, then sex is good dopamine release. It's great exercise. It keeps you young, and it's good for you. Okay, so.
And we can testify to that.
Yes.
Personally.
That's how sexual healing, that song, Broke Neck, healed a lot of sexual healing. It was great stuff. Establish a streak. A streak is just a visual reminder of how many consecutive times you achieve something in games. It's often used to track wins, but you can also use it in everyday activities for the added dopamine boost. The easiest way to do this is to take a calendar and put an X on the box every day you do something, like cleaning your desk or eating a healthy lunch. Soon enough, you'll have a near row of X's to show off as your streak. To show off your streak. Having a streak increases dopamine production the same way completing a task does. While you haven't completed the entire goal, just know that you're going in the right direction and your brain gives you enough of dopamine burst to keep going on. And that's why, like, when people start transitioning and they're like, I gotta do this and I gotta do that and then I want to do that, it's like it's constant release. Yeah. And it's like, oh, like, what else? And then higher. So like when you look at yourself and you're like, man, I need more and more and more and more. You need to stop looking in the mirror. You need to stop obsessing about yourself. You need to just be happy with who you are and do all the other stuff.
Now this next one is kind of hard. Take dopamine enhancing supplements.
Let me see if I agree with any of these. Just eat a healthy. Oh, turmeric is good. Okay, turmeric.
Where do they say that?
Down here where it says curcumin, the active ingredient in our favorite curry spices.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but do the spice.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you should be putting other things in your body.
No.
You know, that aren't.
Yes.
Like acetyl something.
Some people might need, these are all vitamins, and some people might need this because they're very low.
Should we read it?
Yeah, very low dopamine level.
So while you can't pump your brain with dopamine, at least not until we have home brain injection kits.
Don't do it.
Probably coming along. You can take supplements that encourage your brain to produce more dopamine. And here's some of them. Curcumin, the active ingredient in our favorite curry spice, turmeric, helps increase levels of dopamine. You probably want to check the brightness level of our video.
Oh.
Ginkgo biloba.
We're good still.
Okay.
This is turmeric you're on. Well, yeah, turmeric you're on.
Oh, okay.
And I also cook a lot with turmeric, so.
Ginkgo biloba, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
It's a popular wonder drug, and that, though it's not proven, it might help increase dopamine levels by making it stay in your brain longer. L-theanine increases neurotransmitter production in your brain, one of which is dopamine. Green tea has lots of this, so although it can also be taken as a theanine supplement, and acetyl L-tyrosine is a production-ready version of tyrosine, which will make it easier for your brain to create dopamine.
So I highly recommend this. I'm not much of a supplement person, but if you do have poor dopamine production, and usually if you're walking around depressed and wanting to transition and wanting to bust your face to look like a female and do all this other stuff, rather do this, get good with yourself and get that high naturally, a lot better than doing the other stuff. Next up, have you noticed that when you deep into creative work, you enter a state of hyper-focus where you feel you can do anything? The state is called a flow, and it's something that dopamine helps you achieve. Increasing dopamine can be as simple as taking up a creative hobby like photography, crafting, auto repair, or drawing.
Cross-dress?
No, not cross-dressing. Don't, you know, if you don't have to ever indulge in this thing, please don't. Please don't, because it's like going down the rabbit hole and open up Pandora's box.
10, meditate.
Yes.
Sometimes the best way to do something is by doing nothing at all.
Exactly.
Specifically, you do nothing physically, but in your mind, you're trying to sort out your thoughts. Whether you meditate, pray, or do simple self-reflection, all these activities are linked to increased dopamine levels. Dopamine is an addictive chemical, but in a good way. It helps motivate you in doing things you need to do, even if you don't want to do them. And have you noticed something? Most of the things I mentioned above are actually activities that also make you more productive, since that's essentially what dopamine does.
Yes. So I highly recommend, you know, the natural approach, you know, and just healthy. Don't over obsess on yourself. Don't try to, you know, think that, oh, I'm going to transition and I'm going to be a gorgeous woman and I'm going to be this and that and the other. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it just, you're going to become neurotic. You're going to burn out. Your adrenal glands are going to fail. You're going to end up getting wrinkled and old and hair dried. And it's just, it's not worth it, really. It really isn't.
Now we're going to move on to our spiritual corner
Yes.
of our show. And today what I have for you is something very interesting. I mean, I grew up a Christian and was taught a lot about things in the Bible. And a lot of things that I was taught were all very literal. Like, literally, God created the earth in 7 days. And literally, God, you know, made man this way or that way. And literally, God did this and that, you know. And the reality is that much of the stories in the Bible are an allegory to our human condition. And when you see a story that is talking about a certain person or something, it's almost like you can put yourself in that same scenario, you know, and it's not just meant to be a historical account, but it's a book, a series of books that leave clues as to what we can experience as eternal beings. And this is a really interesting article. There's a guy that we've been listening to. His name is Jacob Israel. He's a really cool, you know, YouTuber that has some really interesting and very like thought-provoking videos that he does and perspectives that you might not have thought of. He's not overtly Christian, although he believes in God and Jesus, but not in the traditional way that stereotype, you know, Christianity is. And I want to personally say that I don't believe in that same vein of thinking that I used to believe in. Right. You know, I believe that things are done in our lives to cause us to grow, not to damn us, like I had said in last week's, you know, videos that we did, you know, talking about hell and what it actually is, right. And, you know, so this kind of goes along the same vein. The genesis of you. Go ahead.
Who am I? This is a question many ask. The reason people everywhere ask this question is because deep down they know they are more than they have believed themselves to be. Deep down they know they have unlimited potentials. Deep down they feel as if there's something very important to learn. Deep down they feel like they are missing something. This is why so many people flock to the religious organization of the world. They're looking for answers. However, the problem is the answers are only found within. Not externally, not in religion, not in changing it, within.
And remember that word within, because within is everything.
Right?
Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. And that is found in the Gospel of Thomas.
Okay, we're not sharing the video, right?
Yeah,
we are?
Not yet, but no. Yes, we will be.
This video presents a story of Genesis and the crucifixion in a way you had never heard. You are more than you know. You have forgotten who you really are. You have forgotten that you have untapped, unlimited potential, and that you can create for yourself anything, and I mean anything in this world.
We saw a video the other day of a 500-pound man who could not barely stand anymore, let alone lift his feet up and hold his legs, hold one foot up in the air, and stand on one leg. And he lost like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And out of sheer will and determination and, you know, decision to make changes in his life, he is now a much healthier person.
Oh, definitely.
Much healthier person. And, you know, he's doing yoga. He's lifting his leg higher than I can. I mean, it's just...
And I'm sure that weight gain was years of pain, because that's what we try to do. We try to hide behind this facade, whether it's whatever we do or how we eat and we make ourselves...
Some people will bury themselves behind fat.
Yeah. And so as he started, he wanted to live. And because he wanted to find the will to live, he started breaking through these layers and losing weight. You know, that's what we got to do.
Matthew 17:20 says, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed," and that is very, very tiny, "you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." And that was a big word. Nothing means nothing. You know, the parables in the Bible are stories about you. your birth, your life, your death, and yes, your resurrection. The Bible is truly a book that is inspired, but for many years, the words of the Bible were nothing more than ink on a page. The letter and the slash literal interpretation of Scripture has killed the spirit slash life of it.
2 Corinthians 3:6, who also have made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit, for the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. This truth is great treasure hidden within you. Colossians 1:27, to whom God would make known was the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you. And now it's time to find it. This video is my way of showing you there is a great truth hidden within the scripture, but most importantly within you. Is this the same one that I had linked?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to go to the link instead, so that it opens up on a separate. Okay, boom, stop. Okay, and let me share so you can see it.
My body is a cage that keeps me from dancing with the one I love. And I hold the key. My body is a cage that keeps me from dancing with the one I love. But my mind holds the key. I'm standing on stage. I feel of self-doubt. It's a hollow place. Anyway, my body is a cage that keeps me from dancing with the one I love. I'm almost a key. I'm almost a key. Darkness, light, and my language is still the shapes fill my head. I'm living in a way whose name I don't know, but if fear keeps me moving, still my heart beats so slow. My body is a is a cage. Take one.
And this, is the trauma that human beings have been inflicted. And hence why we are so neurotic, disturbed, hurt, fearful individuals. Why we go and do the things that we do. Because we are unaware of who we truly are. And we're always chasing this dream, chasing this identity. The answer is within you.
And the answer and the truth of the matter is that you are more than you think you are.
Definitely.
You are a part of eternal consciousness. You are part of the great I am, the great creator of all things. Lives in you. It doesn't mean that they're separated from you.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you are a part of this supernatural understanding that we are eternal gods created in the image of the God that created all things. And we have so much more capability than we could have ever thought. We have the ability to make things happen in our mind and bring them about in the physical. We have powers beyond that of mortal men in that sense of that whole Superman thing. Mm-hmm. We have the ability to create worlds. And we have the ability, we just watched the movie Wonder Woman again.
Yeah.
We are all imbued with that power. We are all the sons and daughters of God.
Yeah.
And we are.
And we have been so stripped and dumbed down and have taught to self-loathe that is why we do this craziness. Because I have to believe that what we're doing to ourselves is craziness. It's not something that we need to do, but because we are so lost and so blind and so hurt that, we forget who we truly are. And once you discover that, and once you heal, because I believe that is the only way of healing, is discovering the real you. And the real you has nothing to do with this. Nothing at all. It's deep. It's deep within you.
I encourage any of you to take a look at what Jim Carrey has been saying the last few years.
Yeah.
Talking about how disconnected he is from this physical being that we call Jim Carrey or Mark Angelo Cummings or Amanda Cummings. He's so far removed.
Yeah. And once you start doing that, and either through meditation, whatever it takes for you to reach that level of awareness, of awakening, you should follow through, because that will be the true path of happiness. Right now, you're just dopamine seeking, and that's not happiness. That's so
mortal man.
Mortal man. So depopulation assault is working. Sperm viability plunges among men. There is an all-out war for your soul, for your mind, and for your body. They want to get rid of us. They truly do want to get rid of us. The ongoing chemical assault on a male species is apparently working as planned, with new evidence showing that sperm counts in Western men have declined in record lows. According to the data, average sperm levels among adult men living in Western countries have fallen about 50% over the last 40 years, and with no end in sight, experts warn.
A team of international scientists analyzed data from nearly 43,000 men living in dozens of industrialized countries in order to come up with this conclusion. However, their research, published in the journal Human Reproduction Update, suggests that sperm counts are declining all over the world, including in still developing countries.
The study supports earlier research suggesting that sperm counts have been on a progressive decline for a number of years. All at the same time, fertility rates are said to be fairly stable, despite the fact that many couples are having a difficult time conceiving. The whole situation is ominous to the future of not only males, but also the human species as a whole, which is becoming increasingly androgynous as a result of things like endocrine disrupting chemicals.
This is an urgent wake-up call for researchers and health authorities around the world to investigate the causes of the sharp drop in sperm count with the goal of prevention, stated Dr. Haggai Levine, one of the lead authors on the study.
Crop chemicals are a major contributor to decreased sperm counts, scientists say. The findings may come as shock to folks who are under the illusion that society is evolving and that humanity is growing smarter and stronger with each new technological advancement. After pouring through data included as part of more than 7,000 studies on the subject, what the researchers involved with a new paper uncovered is the fact that the plight of the modern male is largely due to the way the world has changed with industrialization.
As it turns out, chronic chemical exposure is a major contributor to male infertility, says Shauna Swan, a reproductive epidemiologist at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York. In Swan's view, a mother's exposure to these chemicals during pregnancy can have a disastrous effect on her unborn child, especially when that child is a boy.
The mother exposure to a number of chemicals can alter the reproductive tract of a baby boy significantly, Swan is quoted as saying. Obesity is another major cause of declining sperm levels in men, as unhealthy diets marked by excessive consumption of refined sugar and simple carbohydrates directly impede a man's body from producing a healthy level of testosterone. Consequently, such men can become estrogen dominant, leading to weight gain and decreased sperm production and thinking they're born in the wrong body.
And who could forget about stress, which is arguably the #1 killer in the modern world. Constant worry, anxiety, and busyness is likely another major cause of increasing sperm counts. Having to labor away in a dimly lit office cubicle for 8+ hours a day rather than perform physical labor outside in the natural sunlight getting vitamin D, as men of the past did, isn't helping matters any either.
Considering all the environmental pollution, pharmaceutical drugs, plastic chemicals, processed foods, electromagnetic radiation, crop chemicals, and all other toxins that modern men are exposed to, it's no wonder that their basic physiology is undergoing some major changes in response to this barrage of anti-male poisoning.
I think these are extremely concerning findings, Swan laments, noting that chronic stress is killing men. There are a number of factors which you would cluster under the heading of modern living that could be playing a role in what we're seeing.
And that's what we got to look at, you know? That's why we got to realize, what's going on? Why are all these people saying they're born in the wrong body? Why is it so hard for women to get pregnant? Why is it that, men need Viagra to get it up? Why? It's almost like we have this death wish. And it's almost like, because we are all creating this. We want to blame everybody, but spiritually, we're all connected. And this mind of ours is just creating chaos. We want peace, but we're pursuing war. We want this, but we're doing that. It's neurosis. We need to really slow down. This modern technology is killing us. These smartphones are not smart at all. Machines are taking over. And unless we really stop and think and say, whoa, what are we doing here? We are going to be in grave danger. We're seeing it already as we look around. What is our weather condition? What do we have in office running for president? What is happening? People don't care about each other. Everyone's worried about the latest this and the latest that, and let me change this, and let me do that, and let me snip and snap. We've got to stop, folks. We've got to stop if we really, really want the human race to survive. So what else do we have here? Dangers.
The last article we have is the dangers of synthetic scents.
Yes. And it starts as easy as, or as simple as what you got in your house. You got to do an inventory and see what you guys have. Is it something that's killing you? You got to replace it. And I know it's more expensive to buy clean organic stuff and stuff that, is healthy for you, but in the end, it's well worth it.
The dangers of synthetic scents aren't always evident, but we have the science to prove that everyone, regardless of age or health, needs to make avoiding fake fragrances a major priority.
The National Academy of Science points out some vital facts. About 95% of chemicals used in synthetic fragrances are derived from petroleum, crude oil. They include benzene derivatives and carcinogenics, aldehydes, toluene, and many other known toxic chemicals linked to cancer, birth defects, central nervous system disorders, and allergic reaction. Unfortunately, 30 years later, toxic ingredients continue turning up in products we use and breathe on a daily basis. Some of the worst toxic ingredients used in lotion, shampoos, laundry detergent, cleaning products, and so much more include synthetic scents, often listed as labeled as the elusive fragrance, and many of the lists are known as suspected endocrine disruptors that tinker with hormonal health that can trigger weight gain and even set you up for disease decades down the line.
Avoiding the dangers of synthetic scents is crucial. It's something I need you to share with your family and friends. When a company puts quote-unquote fragrance on the label, don't be tricked. This is a catch-all term. Actually, it can stand for thousands of different ingredients, literally at least 3,000. We won't go through that list.
No.
And when you use a product containing fragrance or parfum, all of those mysterious ingredients are absorbed right into your bloodstream. These ingredients are predominantly made from chemicals and are just outright toxic for your health in so many ways. And I mean, the other day I put on some nail polish and I looked at the ingredients.
And I'm smelling it. I'm going, why is
toxic,
she wearing that stuff?
And it said formaldehyde.
Yeah, and I'm like dying because I'm very, my scent, anything that's, I'm like, oh God, okay. Not going to tell them anything, but
Yeah.
Well, our allure with natural fragrances is baked into our DNA as a way to find food and mates. Synthetic fragrances are completely unnecessary and are making us super sick in our modern day world. Sure, drawing fragrances from nature has a long history in religious ceremonies, burials, and a way to increase libido. But in this article, we're focusing on the man-made fragrances that started emerging in the late 1800s. The dangers of these synthetic scents not only include short-term symptoms like allergies and respiratory distress, but also headaches, dizziness, nausea, and brain fog. We'll get into others less obvious side, but super serious side effects in a bit. This serves as evidence that regardless of your age or health status, it is imperative that you avoid fragrance chemicals.
Robin says, mold is killing me, but I'm using bicarb and vinegar to get rid of it.
Yes, vinegar is very good, and bicarb is actually very, very good as well. Yes. Oil of oregano. Take some oil of oregano, put it in water in a little spray bottle, and spray it, and you will get rid of the mold. Take some, it will help you. I know because I lived in an apartment that was really moldy, and I found out about oil of oregano, and it helped clear it out and helped me feel a lot better too.
And she says, old-fashioned cleaners are denied, but are potent.
Yes.
Like, I can't imagine what some of these old, stuff that people use to clean their bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Ajax, right? That stuff is a killer. I mean, some of this stuff is like, you want to kill the germs and you're killing yourself in the same time.
It's like radiation or chemotherapy.
Yeah. I just use vinegar to clean, and just natural stuff. You can use lemon, or what do you call it, orange peels and vinegar and bicarbonate, and just make your own stuff.
We literally bought something at the dollar store yesterday that just about made me almost choke.
Yeah, we had to throw it out.
We had to throw it out. It was so.
And we're no longer, everything we use now is all, good stuff. And little by little we're replacing, like the bottles, stainless steel, and we eat out of glass bowls and things of that nature, because every little bit counts.
What are synthetic scents? Synthetic scents or fragrance represent an unidentified mixture of ingredients including carcinogens, allergens, respiratory irritants, endocrine disruptors, which we've talked about, neurotoxic chemicals, which we've talked about, and environmental toxicants. These artificial scents can be found in all kinds of body care and cosmetic products, as well as air fresheners, cleaning materials, and laundry detergents. According to the Campaign for Safer Cosmetics, hair products are especially problematic. More than 95% of shampoos, conditioners, and styling products contain fragrance as an ingredient. I'm sure you'll agree that we all want our hair to smell good, but we could do without the use of toxic ingredients.
Naturally. And research conducted by the Environmental Working Group and the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics found an average of 14 chemicals in 17 named brand fragrance products. But it doesn't stop there. None of these chemicals were actually listed on the label. In general, there are at least 3,000 ingredients that could possibly be used for a form product scent that, according to the online transparency list, put out by the International Fragrance Association and Industry Trade Group. I encourage you to take a look at the following list and derive from the campaign from Safe Cosmetic to see how many fragrance chemicals we're probably exposed to every day. And again, the link is on the description.
And it damages, damages the body. I mean, acetaldehyde, potentially carcinogenic to humans, adversely impact the kidneys, nervous and respiratory systems.
Yeah, benzophenone, it's an endocrine disruptor linked to liver tumors.
I mean, butylated hydroxyanisole, BHA, listed as a carcinogen under California's Prop 65, an endocrine disruptor, listed, you know, as a Category 1 priority substance in the European Commission.
Butylated hydroxytonium, BHT, skin and eye irritant.
Benzoate is an allergen.
Benzobenzate, exposure can burn and irritate the genitals and scalp.
That's used a lot, benzobenzoate.
Yeah.
Butoxethanol, skin, eye, nose, and throat irritant. Exposure can lead to blood in the urine, vomiting and nausea, long-term damage to the kidneys, liver, lymphoid system, nervous system, respiratory system, and blood cells. They're killing us.
Yeah. Beli, phenoli, methyl, blah, blah, blah. So another skin inflammation and itchiness trigger can set off skin sensation and leading to even more intense irritation from each exposure.
Formaldehyde. Okay, that's what the nails got.
Yeah.
A known human carcinogen banned in cosmetics and toiletries in Japan and Sweden. MEA, DEA, TEA are all ethanolamines.
So you're basically
mixed with other ingredients to form nitrosamines. Some nitrosamines are possible and known carcinogens.
So here we are eating healthy, and you're killing us by it.
I'm not. I didn't do it. I mean, I took it off. And
yeah, no. That stuff is just like I'm
gonna throw it away.
Yeah, it's like there's no need. Like, what?
Bad news.
For the nail. Oh yeah,
Bad
that's part of the no. Anyway,
it's not part of anything. It's just a preference.
Yeah, but it kills people. I mean, when you go to those Chinese, what do you call those nail thingies that they have to wear? Those people are shortening their lifespan by 10, 15 years. They're putting nails on women, and trans women love those nails. You know, I used to have to take my X all the time, and every time I had to go in, I'm like, I know I'm losing brain cells. I know that I'm going to be dumber than when I got in.
You know, I initially liked it, but then it was like, these are ruining my nails.
They do.
Like my real nails.
They do. They kill the nail bed, and they.
It's like.
And the brain cells.
They were like gonna damage them, because I mean, you always have to re-tip them and all that stuff, and I mean, it's so expensive.
I know. You've got to go every like 2 or 3 weeks.
I mean, people have to be rich to have nails. Like
and then, how can people function with long nails?
You can't. You really can't.
So I mean, there's a whole list there, and it's going to be 8 o'clock. I don't think they could probably just go ahead and.
Well, serious dangers of synthetic scents. Cancer. According to the Breast Cancer Fund, when it comes to the prevention of cancer, avoiding synthetic fragrance is one of the many ways to help yourself. That's because the dangers of synthetic scents include hormone-disrupting phthalates and synthetic musks, and then child autism.
Oh yeah, I mean, what do you think? We've got all these freaking things going on in the world. We didn't have half of these diseases, and please don't tell me it's because now we have the internet and people are investigating more. No, we were natural. We didn't have all these chemicals. All these new chemicals have been brought to us, the past 50 years?
They say that phthalates are linked to autism,
symptoms
of ADHD, and neurological disorders. That's why pregnant women have to be ultra careful when it comes to the products they're exposed to on a daily basis. The dangers of synthetic scents could be even more life-altering for a developing fetus, because basically whatever you ingest, the baby's ingesting, and the baby is not letting anything out. It's all going in. So there's lots
of stuff you guys could read.
But the better alternatives,
essential oils, which is what we use. You know,
house plants.
Yeah.
Homemade cleaning products.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier.
Homemade laundry soap. I mean,
you know, you got one body and you got to take care of it. And I think it's so important, you know. I mean, you see people that get cosmetics and they're trying to look, it's like repairing the car outside, but not taking care of the engine, you know, and cosmetics doesn't last. Sooner or later, you know, you fall apart, you know, and if you don't take care of the inner you, you ain't gonna, yeah, so they write it on your grave. Oh, I wanted to be a woman. So here they lay with their dress on their, what do you call that? On their, yeah. So start taking care more of your spirit self, of your body self. Eat healthy, think healthy thoughts, be in touch with your, whatever you want to believe in, you know, the universe, the great I am, spirit, source, you know, really just do some soul searching.
Connect with the person that exists beyond this outer shell. Connect with that person that is dying to come out, that person who you are, you know, because again, this is not us. This is just a shell.
And if you follow that rabbit hole, you're going to end up, you know, meeting the wrong kind of people, hurting yourself, hurting others. And in the end, it's not worth it because it's short-lived. That high, that great feeling, that whatever, it's short-lived. In the end, it'll catch up with you. So be true to yourself, your true inner self, not the ego self. You know?
Guess that's all.
That's it. Boy, we've rambled on. It's 8 o'clock, 2 hours. And God bless all of you that stuck with us. Catherine and Robin. Robin, you're a trooper. And what was the other guy? Victor Leo. Yeah, Victor Leo. And yeah, thank you guys. Remember, we now have Blog Talk, Real Talk, with the Cummings, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:30 Mountain Time.
And if you don't have time, you
can always listen on demand.
Yeah, but you know, if you don't have time to watch, you can always just turn it on and listen.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I don't know if I put the link on here. Did I put the link in here for our new website? No, I need to put it in there. So I'll go ahead and put it in so you guys can listen, and also on the YouTube thingy. But it's transitionradio.blogspot.com. But I will put it in there, and you could find the links and all that great stuff. But thank you so much. And with another one of my originals called Love's Everywhere. You know, and it's important for love to be everywhere. It's important for you to love yourself unconditionally, love those around you unconditionally, and really, really love yourself. Not love yourself if you get this and if you manage to be that. No, love yourself unconditionally. Because that's what matters, right, babe?
What matters.
Unconditional love. Hey, guys, you know, we love you. But remember to always love yourselves too. Mwah. Good night. Be well. And let me share this here. That's an old video, by the way.
It's a classic.
Classic. 2009 is when I wrote this song. And yeah, here we go. Good night, folks. Be well.
That one back too.
No HD back then.
Watch it grow from above. Get love and understanding. You want to right. Love me, love is everywhere. Love me, love is in the air. Love me, love you.
brothers and sisters, love's everywhere. Love me, love is everywhere. Love me, love is in the air. Love me, love is I see that love thing. Sounds of you are one and everlasting. Love's everywhere. Love me,